Hello everyone, our topic is Models of Long-Run Economic Growth. This is our group members, Sun Yiman, Zhang Yuan, Bi Jiaxuan, Wang Xinhao. Now, let us begin with the presentation. This is our content. The first one is introduction. The second one is theoretical discussion. The third one is data-based comparison. The last one is conclusion. Now let me introduce the background of our study. Different countries has different long-run growth rates. In this study, we compared China and the United States. According to Roma Endogenous Growth Survey, economic growth is driven by innovation, human capital, and knowledge. Countries like China and the United States invest heavily in R&D and education, which help explain their long-run growth performance. So, we focus on R&D expenditure, R&D workers, education level, and economic growth rate.
In this part, I will explain the theory behind long-run economic growth, focusing mainly on the Roma endogenous growth model. Traditionally, economic growth is explained by the solo model. In the solo model, technology is generous, meaning it comes from outside the economy. Capital accumulation can increase output in the short run, but due to the diminishing returns, long-run growth depends on technological progress. As a result, government policies mainly affect income levels rather than long-term growth. The Roma model provides a different explanation. According to the Roma, technology is dangerous endogenous and is created within the economy. Economic growth is driven by investment in research and development by the combination of human capital. When firms invest in innovation, new ideas and technologies are produced. A key idea in the Roma model is that knowledge is non-trivial. This means that once knowledge is created, it can be used by many people at the same time without being used up. Because of this, knowledge creates spillover effects, allowing the economy to grow continuously without facing diminishing returns. Another important point is the role of government policy. In the Roma model, policies that support education, innovation, and R&D can directly affect a country's long-run growth rate. Overall, the Roma model explains long-run growth through innovation and human capital, making it especially useful for understanding difference in economic growth across countries.
This slide shows a comparison of R&D expenditure between the United States and China. First, looking at the United States, R&D spending increased from USD 666.9 billion in 2019 to USD 940 billion in 2023. This shows that US continues to invest heavily in innovation. For China, R&D spending also increased significantly from USD 515 billion in 2019 to USD 720 billion in 2023. Overall, the United States still maintains a higher absolute level of R&D investment. However, China shows a faster growth rate, which means the gap between the two countries is gradually narrowing. According to Roma's endogenous growth survey, higher investment in R&D supports innovation and knowledge creation, which help explain long-term economic growth in both countries.
This slide highlights difference in R&D human capital between the United States and China. The United States demonstrates stable leadership, with around 4,800 R&D personnel per million people. This stability reflects the U.S. advantage in maintaining a high-density research ecosystem rather than relying on rapid expansion. China showed leapfrog growth pattern, expanding from about 415 to 1,800 per million people. Although the absolute level is lower, the fast growth rate signaled an accumulation of innovation-oriented human capital. From the perspective of Roma's endogenous growth theories, knowledge speed lower enabled to catch up pros. This slide compares the educational levels of United States and China. The United States represents a mature stage of higher education. Enrollment peaked at above 88%, but declined to around 79% after 2020, suggesting a structural adjustment driven by changed labor market demand rather than a loss of human capital. In contrast, China showed a rapid expansion to tertiary education. Enrollment increased from below 5% in the early 1990s to around 72% by 2023, indicating large-scale investment in human capital to support long-term technological catch-up. Overall, higher education strengthens innovation capital and the ability to absorb new technological.
Let me introduce the economic growth rates of the United States and China, using GDP growth data from the World Bank. First, let's look at the United States. The United States has an average growth rate of about 2 to 3%. Overall, the growth is stable and does not change too much from year to year. There are some ups and downs, but this is normal for a developing economy. In years with big global problems, such as 2008 and 2020, the United States economy had sharp drops. However, the data shows that the United States economy recovered quickly after these shocks. Now, let's look at China. In earlier years, China had a very high growth, around 8 to 10%. This was during a time of fast industry and economic development. Compared with the United States, China's growth is more unstable, with large changes over time. In recent years, China's growth rate has clearly slowed down. This means China is moving from fast growth to a more stable and sustainable growth path. In summary, the two countries show different growth patterns. The United States has low but stable growth, while China has higher but more change in growth. This difference shows that two countries are at different stages of economic development. Now, let me move to the conclusion. From our comparison between China and the United States, we can see that long-run economic growth is not caused by only one factor. Economic growth comes from several important factors working together. One key point is that innovation, human capital, and knowledge do not play the same role at every stage of development. Their importance changes as an economic growth. For developed countries like the United States, economic growth depends more on innovation efficiency. This means using technology better, improving research quality, and having highly skilled workers. However, for late developed countries like China, growth mainly comes from capital accumulation, education, and learning from more advanced economies. This catch-up process helps these countries grow faster in the long run. Overall, our findings support the main idea of endangered growth theory. This theory shows that growth comes from inside the economy, especially through innovation and human capital. Finally, we can conclude that long-run economic growth is mainly driven by innovation and human capital, rather than capital accumulation alone. This is all our presentation. Thank you for your listening.